people who couldn't buy have sent to my room. What do you want to do to me, and what is the sake of it? Reaching under the chest of the drawers and under the wardrobe, crawled under to the corner, and I sat on a chair with my legs tucked under me. It quickly ran diagonally across the room and disappeared somewhere near my chair. He looked around in fear, but I was sitting my legs and tucked under me. I was hoping not to crawl under the chair, and suddenly I just sort of crackling rustle behind me. I was almost by my dad. Hair over my head, even touching my hair with its tail, which was turning and twisting with extreme rapidity. A jump which was turning and twisting with extreme rapidity. I jumped up and the animal disappeared. I was afraid to lie down in bed lest it crawled under my pillow. My mother was an acquaintance. Hers came into the room and they tried to catch the reptile, but then I am not even afraid, but they understood nothing. Suddenly the reptile crawled up again and crawled very calmer than I, but not even afraid. They tried, but they understood nothing, and they quietly, and as if with some particular intention, was twisting slowly, which was more impulsive, and again dragging diagonally across the room towards the door. Here my mother opened the door and called angrily over the reptile, and as if rooted to the spot, the reptile also stopped, but was still twisting, the flicking and the tips of its legs and the tails as before, but the animals cannot feel mystical fear, as if I'm not mistaken.
Hi, Richie.
Hi.
What's up?
Hi. It went suddenly, but despite all of the fear, normally gaze at Norma's gaze was terrible, angry though, and she was trembling all over. Suddenly, she slowly bared her terrible teeth, opened her entire red maw, took and re-dieted herself, resolved, and suddenly seized the reptile with her teeth, and the reptile must have made a strong movement to escape, because Norma caught at once more, this time in the air, and got twice at her whole mouth cracked in her teeth, and the animal's tail laid and stuck out of her. Pitifully, she had the squealing and howling with pain. She opened her mouth and saw a bitten reptile was staring and laying across her mouth. Its half-crushed body oozing a large quantity of white juice into her tongue, resembling the juice of a crushed black cockroach. And here I woke up. The prince came in. Gentleman, said Ippolite, suddenly tearing himself away with his reading, and almost shamefully. I didn't read it, but it's that. Ganya hastened to put it in there. Too much of the personal, and I agree that's about myself. The idea that he went on doing was not worth living. A few weeks began the possession of me in a real sense about a month ago, and I think that I still had 4 weeks left to live, but it overcame me and completely almost 3 days ago when I returned that evening in Pavlovsk. The first moment of my being fully directed, pervaded, and secured on the prince's turrets, and precisely in this moment when I decided to make the last test of my life to the people in my trees, I said so to myself, became excited, insisted on Birodovsky's, my neighbor's rights, and I dreamed that they would all suddenly spread their arms wide and take me to their embrace, and ask for my forgiveness for something, and I theirs. In short, I ended up as a giftless fool, and during those hours as the ultimate conviction, I ended up as a giftless fool, and during those hours as the ultimate conviction flared up in me, and I'm now astonished at how I could have lived for a whole 6 months without his conviction. I knew positively that I had understood the matter clearly, but the more clearly I understood it, was more convulsively that I wanted to live. I clung to life and wanted to live whatever it cost. I agree. I could have become angry then at the dark and blank fate which had decreed that moment, squashed like a fly, of course, without knowing why. But then I just not end just with anger. And why did I actually begin to live, knowing that it's no longer possible for me to begin? Why did I try? There was no longer anything to try, and I mean, well, I could not read even through a book and gave enough read why learn for 6 months. This thought made me drop a book more than once. Yes, the Wall of Myers can tell a lot. I have written a lot in it by heart. The Cursed Wall, but it's the same thing, dearer to me as Pavlovsk trees, but it would be dearer if it were not to be the same with me now. I recall with great interest, and I began to follow their life. There was no such interest before, and sometimes I was so ill that I could not even leave the room. Sometimes when I was so ill, I could not leave the room away for colleagues with impatient and abuse. I went so much into all of those little details. I was so gossip and could not understand, for instance, how it was these people having so much life and will not even be able to become rich. However, I don't understand how either. I knew I could not understand how that these people having so much life was able to become rich. And I was told later that he starved to death, and I remembered that. It made me furious. How can you possibly suppose that I do not know to humiliate myself with exclamation? Well, who's not? I'm continuing to run into knows nothing of life, forgetting that I'm no longer 18 years old, forgetting that I have lived 6 months means I've till your gray hair, but myself tall tales has filled with the whole night and wisdom I remember, but all now I really do is to have them tell them again. But now when the time for the tall tales is past for me as well, and to whom for even the Greek grammar received of what doing, I won't get as far as the syntax before I die. I though at first the page threw the book under the table and still lying there, I forbid Martrina to pick it up.